When you change wheels and tires on a truck, the circumference of the tire may be different, which will change the speedometer, and the tire pressure thresholds might be different, which would affect the TPMS system. Now we can update both of those on this RAM I have behind me. Let's walk through how to do it. Okay, in order to accomplish this, on this truck it's in the BCM, so we'll just scroll down there to BCM. And the first function we'll do is the tire circumference, so we'll go into miscellaneous functions for that. And we see program tire size and axle ratio. So this function is used to update the tire circumference value stored in the BCM after changing the size of the tires on the vehicle. So we'll hit continue. And then it's going to tell us what the current size is, so that must be factory tires, 265/70 R18s. This truck now has 33-inch tires on 22-inch wheels, so different circumference. So we'll hit yes, we want to change it. And the option is not listed on here for the actual circumference of the tire. So we'll go into custom size. There we go. To program a custom tire size, measure the circumference of the tire in millimeters and enter the value in the next screen. So we already measured it. So we'll hit continue. We'll hit edit. And then we'll come down here and enter in our value, which is 2565. Hit the check mark, OK. Hit the check mark again. Now we didn't change the axles, so we don't need to enter a new ratio. We'll hit no. And it says tire size was successful. Continue. Now to get to the pressure thresholds, that's under system tests. So we'll go to system tests and update pressure thresholds. It says this procedure will update the tire pressure monitoring system's load inflation pressures stored in the body control module and then the tire pressure monitor if it's present. Use the cold tire inflation pressure for the front and rear tires listed on the tire and loading information label located on the inside driver's door or driver's door jamb. In this case, these are aftermarket tires and they have a much higher threshold, so we're going to use what the manufacturer recommends on the tire. We'll hit continue. Going to collect some data. Shows us what's currently in there. It's 38 PSI. We'll hit continue. And in this case, the tire says it's a 65 PSI max pressure, so we'll go there. Writes the values. And there we go, successfully updated the tire pressure threshold values in the BCM and the TPM. Continue, and then it'll show us what the current values are. So there we go, couple simple steps. If you change your wheels, you can go update the tire size, update the pressure thresholds, and everything should work as designed. We hope you found this clip helpful. Find hundreds of other quick tips and useful training videos right here on the Snap-on Diagnostics YouTube channel. Hello everyone, welcome. Thanks for joining our diagnostic training session today. Now if you have any questions throughout the session, if you're joining us on Zoom, just look at the top of the bottom of your screen. Wherever your Zoom controls are, should see a little button that says Q&A. Click on that, I'll get to the questions at the end. If you're watching along on YouTube, just feel free to use the live chat function and I'll get to those at the end as well. So my name is Jason Gabrinas. I'm one of Snap-on's National Diagnostic Technical Trainers. Been in the training department the last 12, 13 years or so. Traveling around North America, helping techs and shop owners get the most out of their diagnostic equipment. Before I did that, it was a couple of years as a diagnostic sales rep for Snap-on. So I had about 30 different franchisees I worked with, as well as the shops that they serviced, in order to help everyone get the most out of their diagnostic needs. Then before that, it was 8 years at Subaru, so worked in a dealership and just over time became that default diag guy in the shop. So I always ended up with the drivability problems, the intermittent problems, the weird wiring problems that would show up on those cars. And that's really where I cut my diagnostic teeth, was trying to figure out all those weird head scratcher type cars that came in my day. And before that, a bunch of other miscellaneous wrenching jobs. Been about 30 years under hood experience for me. So our topic at hand today is continuing our OEM-specific ADAS training on Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Stellantis. I don't know what you want to call it, the domestic side of things. We're not going to talk Fiat or anything like that, but Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. And there are a lot of similarities across the line, which you see a lot of times, but not every time. And there's on some manufacturers, they use 5 different procedures to go through and relearn the system. So in this case, pretty simple. Just like everybody else, they do use the same types of components. So radar for adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, and so on. Cameras, front view, rear view, 360 view on occasion. And ultrasonic sensors, of course, for park assist, and they also have some advanced park assist on some of them. So the first one we're going to choose is 2022 Jeep Wrangler. And let's go look through it. So this, in this case, it has radar only in the rear, so rear blind spot monitor. Camera is front view and rear view, and some of them are equipped with 360 view. I was getting differing information on it, so we'll just stick with the two. Ultrasonic sensors, 8 front and rear for front and rear park assist. The front camera in this case, also the module that they go through, it also combines a radar. Couldn't find too much information on that either, but I will say, going through this exercise on this, doing this ADAS journey this year, some manufacturers are really bad about putting out information about it, and I will say CDJR is not that. There's not a lot of information out there. Of course, there's not a lot of stuff you actually need to do with it either, which is kind of nice. So front camera there. And then we see down here under our ADAS and driver's aids, we have our blind spot sensors. We have our central vision processing module, which is for the surround view, and then driver assistance system module, which is where that is going to be for the front camera. So we have miscellaneous functions there, and then driver assistance system module auto alignment is what we're going to go through. So the forward-facing camera and adaptive cruise control sensor are integrated into the driver assist module. So like I said, they both kind of go in there. The procedure calibrates both camera and sensor. Perform this via a procedure only when the driver assist module has been replaced, windshield has been replaced, and the driver assist module had to be reinstalled. Vehicle height has been modified. If you remember way back at the beginning of this, I mentioned that any ride height, any alignment issues can mess up ADAS. So if the ride height's been modified, which on a Jeep, probably fairly common, so that would need to be done after you put a lift kit or whatever on it. And then, or if either of those DTCs pop up, needs to be done. So before performing this procedure, vertical alignment must be completed using a digital inclinometer. So like a lot of manufacturers, you have to make sure that it's up and down correctly. And we'll just say the vertical alignment has been completed. Refer to service information for details on vertical alignment. Like I said, not a lot available, but you may be able to find it. So if I hit yes here, and then vehicle ride height been modified from stock height. Ride height modifications include lift of suspension or different tire diameter from stock. In this case, we'll say no. And then the procedure requires the vehicle to be driven. So there's no targets involved with this. Do not cycle the ignition in the off position any time when the procedure is performed. The ignition cycle the off position of the procedure must be restarted. Both the adaptive cruise control sensor and forward-facing camera will be calibrated during this procedure. Alignment will progress only when the vehicle speed is above 30 miles an hour, and we pause when the vehicle speed drops below 30 miles an hour. For best results, drive on roads with guardrails, telephone poles, signs, and other common roadside objects. Expected alignment time is about 7 minutes with optimal road conditions. It may take longer during poor visibility, inclement weather, too few common roadside objects. Continue. And then it's going to go through the procedure. And then when it's done, it'll say it's done. That's about as far as I can go in simulator mode. So. All right, so there's also another front camera in the grill there. You can kind of see the back side of the grill. So that's for the surround vision camera. And then it also has a rear camera built in the middle of the spare tire. I thought that was kind of a interesting use because, any Jeep Wrangler you're going to run across is going to have that big spare tire on the back. So the camera is there. However, this just popped into my mind. Not necessarily the smartest thing because there's also plenty of people out there who put custom covers on their spare tires. So I don't know if maybe they get them with a cutout or something like that, but yeah, not going to work if there's a rear cover on. But I think you'd notice it pretty quickly as soon as you put the thing in reverse. So those, however, are calibrated in the central vision processing module on this vehicle. And miscellaneous functions once again. And then there's a service calibration here. So this one's also done. So like I said, you get kind of mixed messages here. But the procedure calibrates the front, rear, left, and right cameras. To view progress, touch the surround view camera button on the radio display so you can see the progress there. We'll hit continue. And then gives you a couple of choices. So you can do a forced calibration that'll do all of them regardless of whether it's calibrated or not. You can do only cameras that are invalid calibration, or front, left, right, rear, or right cameras only by one. So if I only replace one, I only have to do one, which is nice. Vehicle must be driven between 2 and 8 miles an hour, so putting along in a parking lot in a straight line. Ensure that both front doors are closed, mirrors are extended, and nothing is obstructing the camera's view. So you go through there and drive it, and then it's going to give you actual PID data as to what the calibration status is as well. So between the 4 cameras, it'll just roll, and then it'll say it's complete. Front radar on this. Once again, that gets calibrated through the that module there, the driver assist module, along with the camera at the same time. So that's how that goes. No targets needed. Rear radar, it's pretty much a plug and play. You just plug it in and go. No reset or relearn required on that one either. No targets or anything. So that's kind of nice. And then parking, like most manufacturers, in this particular case, this doesn't have anything available for it. But on some vehicles like this Jeep here, we will see that. I believe it's on this Jeep. So in this case, it has 3 radars, adaptive cruise control, rear blind spot monitors, and rear cross traffic alert. So there's 2 in the back, 1 in the front. 2 cameras, front view and rear view. In this case, 2017 didn't have surround view. Ultrasonic has 12 sensors, front and rear park assist, and also parallel park assist available on that. So it's older, but it's got fancier stuff. 2019. I don't know why I did 2017. 2019. Front camera is going to be pretty similar to the Jeep, the other Jeep, the Wrangler, I mean. So you can see it's slightly different here. So it's got an adaptive cruise control instead of the, it's got it separated out. Forward-facing camera module and adaptive cruise control are separate. Blind spot sensors, once again, nothing going on with them. Parktronics there as well. So the front-facing camera module, if we can go in there as a calibration for that, and that's a little bit different. So like I said, even on the same manufacturer, they might have differences in between what needs to be done. Procedural calibrate the forward-facing camera module should be performed whenever the forward-facing camera module or windshield is replaced. Vehicle will need to be driven to perform this procedure. Make sure the tire pressure is correct. No additional items in the vehicle that will increase the weight. Windshield's clean. Camera has an unobstructed view. Following conditions need to be met. I'm not going to read through all of them, but basically you need to have good road conditions. Weather conditions must be fair. No non-uniform tarmac or concrete. Should be performed during the day when the sun is mostly overhead. You don't want to drive to glare. 25 and 74 miles an hour, somewhere in there. Should be driven in the center of the lane and no other vehicles are in the lane, merging ahead within 10 to 12 car lengths. A lot of steps you need to make sure you meet in order to have a good experience when it's doing that. So you hit continue, puts it in programming mode, and then you would drive the car. Rear camera, no anything needed for that. Front radar in this case is going to be under adaptive cruise control there. You go in there, miscellaneous functions. And then there's adaptive cruise control driver assist module drive calibration. So that's going to be very similar to the before. It's just they don't have it laid out. So this routine is used to horizontally and vertically align the ACC sensor. Ensure the sensor is mounted correctly. No damage to the fascia is present that could cause misalignment. Successful calibration of the ACC sensor is dependent on the correct alignment of the sensor and fascia. Procedure requires the vehicle to be driven. Correct any DTCs, especially those, and continue. And then continue to start initializing the adaptive cruise control module in preparation for the calibration. And then it would go, it actually puts it in a plant mode, which is like when it's being assembled, the assembly line plant mode. Go in there. And then you're going to cycle the key, open and close the driver door to let the bus go to sleep. And then cycle the ignition on. And then it's going to exit plant mode. And then it's going to go in and do the thing. So it will initialize it, and then it will have you drive the car. What's next? There we go. All right, rear radar. Pretty much the same thing. It's going to be in the blind spot sensor left and right, but there are no calibrations required for that. And then we have the parking system. And in this case, the park assist does have some stuff we need to do. So Parktronics, we would go in. And there's miscellaneous functions that we can do. And one of them is a sensor wiring test. The other one's configure license plate size. So in this case, proper front license plate size. we need to have because for the park sensors, right? So in this case, the simulator just decided it was Swiss standard. And you can choose from Europe, Japan, USA, Swiss standard, Swiss change, Italy, and rear only. And then the sensor wiring test will go through and allows the Parktronics module to run sensor tests that normally run when the vehicle is moving. This test should be used to ensure that the sensors have been wired correctly after replacement. It's going to go through and it's going to give us basically a pass-fail on that. All right, 2019 Charger is going to use pretty much the same stuff that we have on the other two vehicles, so I'm not going to go through the steps again. But 3 radars, adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitor, 2 cameras, front and rear. Didn't have 360 camera on that one either. Ultrasonic front and rear park assist and parallel park assist as an option. Front camera module is going to be the same. It's like I used the same picture across all of them. And then that would be the forward-facing camera module in this case. And then front radar is going to be the adaptive cruise control module, just like we did on the Jeep Wrangler, Grand Cherokee. Rear radar, no setup required. It's got a nice little bracket back there that'll plug right in, align it perfectly. And that is, of course, assuming that the body panels are straight, but so that'd be your blind spot sensors. And then for Parktronics, the park assist, that's wired a little bit differently, but it is in the bumper. And that's going to give us the Parktronics system there. Also remember, pretty much any Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler, Ram vehicle, 18 and newer, is going to require security access. Unlike what we saw last week with Volkswagen and Audi, where you needed the PIN code, and it was only when you got to the actual test itself. In this case, the whole vehicle gets locked because that's how Chrysler decided to do it. So you have to unlock it in order to get in. So you do need an auto-auth account, an active auto-auth account. Your tool needs to be tied to the auto-auth account. And you also need to have your tool registered in your Snap-on account. And you also need to make sure you have current software on the tool. All those things, we can do that. And and good Wi-Fi. Need that too when you hook up to the car anyway. And then you'll see there we have, it's going to say available or it's going to say locked. So it's going to be either or depending on what the status is of the vehicle. If it is locked, you can still go in and look at stuff, but you can't do anything that sends a command to the car like clear codes or any functional test, bidirectional controls, that sort of thing. So just be aware. That's pretty much on all of them. I know it's been around for like 7 years now, but we still get calls on it constantly. So just be aware that everything needs to be in its place. And if you're going to hook up to one of these and try to do ADAS, you need to have that all set, security access. All right, so let's go live on the tool and take a look at a couple things. So let's see. So first off, we'll go with the Wrangler. And we'll go into scanner and I'll just kind of show you where those are located. Once again, security link session. There we go, unlocked. And then we'll have them down here sorted under ADAS and driver's aids. Also notice the available up there. So we got, say, for example, the driver assist module. These are the many different modules that could possibly be optioned on the vehicle. You wouldn't see that menu in normal operation because it'll know what module's in it. But the simulator, we have to do that. So a driver assist system module auto alignment, and then it's going to walk you through how to do it. So I'm just going to step through that a little bit. We already saw these slides, so I'm just going to cancel out of it. There we go. And then, of course, say things like data, right? So all sorts of different data you might need, whether or not the ACC is engaged or if it's enabled, alignment angle, camera horizontal angle, all sorts of different things in there that you may need depending on the service information. Another thing with Chrysler vehicles, or at least the newer ones, which is nice, in the guided component test, we also have some ADAS information as well. So blind spot monitoring sensor, it's got some information on it. And then it has the above 6 miles an hour, if an object is detected in the blind spot, the tail lamp will send a pulse of modulated signal to the mirror on that side to turn on the warning symbol. If the driver starts to cross into the path, the sensor will turn off the radio and sound a chime to warn the driver. And then we can do a DC voltage test on that just to verify that it's working. Cruise control, we can do that They call it a cruise control range detection sensor. As a cruise control or the radar sensor or module requires alignment whenever it's removed or reinstalled, whenever front-end structural repairs are performed, or whenever a diagnostic trouble code indicates a sensor adjustment is required. Sensor alignment consists of performing the mechanical vertical alignment followed by the electronic horizontal alignment that is performed with the diagnostic scan tool, which we just walked through a little while ago. Once again, voltage test on that. Check power and ground. And then park assist. I can check the module, the sensor, the actual rear view camera as well. So the rear view camera uses a coax cable, so it's not really able to be tested very much. DC voltage test is going to be on center terminal, and it should be 10 to 12 volts with the transmission in reverse. That's it. All right, so we have that. And then let's just go into repair information really quick. Like I said, there's not a lot of, let's pick that Rubicon. There's not a lot of information available from Chrysler as far as I've seen. I'm not paying for a countless Stellantis, but if we go to driver assist, then you see the, we have this now with the replace outside view camera, you need a scan tool, and also for the radar too. But you don't need special tools. You don't need targets or anything like that. Oh, that's a good tip. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Let's see, like for cruise control systems, for example, you know, they don't give you a lot of like component operation. It's going to be on not necessarily the radar. Let's see what it says in this case. Adaptive cruise control with stop and go. And then we have the different modules. Cruise control switch module. Tells you how it works. And how the different modules react to it. So that's kind of a operation. Component locator. Let's see if they give us that. No, that's out of the guided component test. So it's there. Not a ton of information from them. All right, let's go to the Cherokee. 2017, actually, not a 19. I don't know why it said that on the slides. I have to fix that before the next class. But in this case, once again, you know, same thing. Adaptive cruise control we can do. And that just has ECU information because it's taken care of with the forward-facing camera module. Oh, that one has got a component test too. I want to show you those. So if I go in there, it's got a few more. Exterior lighting and wiper and washers for some reason are added into that, but that's okay. Blind spot monitoring sensor. There we go. There's what the plug looks like. Blind spot monitor system is active when the vehicle speeds above 10 miles an hour. Sensors monitor an area in the lanes to the right and left of the vehicle about 14 feet. When an object's in the zone, the module will turn an icon on the side mirrors to warn on driver. Signal is sent over CAN to the door modules. Now, Hyam Lee on YouTube just chimed in with another helpful tip, and it sounds like it might be something they experienced before. If the vehicle comes from a body shop and the blind spot monitors are erratic, double check the sensors are facing the right direction. So there you go. I guess they can be installed in, so the outside's facing in, basically, I guess. So yeah, that's a really good tip. Good tip. Didn't think about that, but there's that. And then another one that I've been told is watch where they put the labels on the bumpers, on the bumper skins if you're reskinning a bumper. Because we had one story somebody told me on a Forester that had the rear radar on the corner, and for some reason they couldn't get it to calibrate. They couldn't get it to calibrate. Ended up looking inside, and there is a metal sticker, like a metallic foil sticker, right where that radar is, and it couldn't make it through because it was reflecting off the metal stickers. So the more you know, weird things happen, especially when it comes to doing ADAS. So, and then we'll pull up the charger. It's going to look the same, like I said. Very simple, the Dodge. So it seems like our top candidates for super simple stuff are going to be these guys and GM, because GM has very few targets that are needed too. For these, for Chrysler, I've only seen one target. There might be others, but I've only seen one that's available to buy, and it's for radar. And you don't need it on any of these cars, so I don't know what car it's for. Same thing. And like, let's do the Parktronics. This one. So that one should have the sensor wiring test. Right. Goes through and just tells you whether or not it works. Gives you a pass fail. Simple as that. And this one should also have got a component test as well. Yes, it does. So that has adjustable pedals. We'll do cruise control, range detection sensor. They use pretty much the same sensor on everything too, so that helps. There. All right. So that is like I said, not a ton to report on them. I was actually trying to do a Ram truck, but it's very, very new that they started putting them on Ram trucks. I had a 2019 in there to look up and didn't have anything on it. So looks like they took them a while to get into the Ram trucks. I don't know. But that is Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram doing ADAS. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about next week. So next week we are with the ever popular vehicle maintenance functions. So the majority of vehicles out there need regular maintenance now. Oil changes and stuff like that. And there may be a scan tool that needs to be involved in these things now. So we're going to talk through a bunch of stuff: brakes, oil changes, transmission stuff, that sort of thing. I'm going to walk through it all. So if you want to check it out, come join me next Tuesday, as we do every single Tuesday, 6 and 9 Eastern. If you want to join on Zoom, go to snapon.com/OT to sign up and register there. Otherwise, the 6 p.m. Eastern class goes live to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/SnapOnDiagnostics. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure you like and subscribe. If you scan that QR code right there, it will bring you to our YouTube channel and subscribe you automatically. And then the 9 p.m. Eastern class goes to from Zoom and also to our Facebook page, which is Snap-on Diagnostics Equipment and Training. So you can check us out over there as well. Any of the other past episodes in this series, including everything we did today. So everything from intro to ADAS through diagnosing vehicle communication issues and everything in between. This is episode 117. So we're going to have, they're all about half hour, 40 minutes long. They're all going to be, just diving deep into how things work. Because I'm a firm believer, if you need to know how something works in order to get it to work correctly, right? So you don't know if it's not working correctly, right? So that's what a lot of this is. It's just going to be best practices, and here's how the system works, and here's how to test it, that sort of thing. So whole lot of content. We've been doing this since 2020, and hopefully we'll get to episode 150 in probably next year. I think sometime we'll get to episode 150. So once again, freely and readily available for you. If it's free, it's for me. All on the YouTube channel. Also, do we have your email address? If we don't have your email address, you are missing out on some good content. So things like technical focus articles, SureTrack blogs, quick tips, new product releases, things of that nature. They send out my training schedule pretty regularly as well. We're not going to spam you. It's maybe 1 or 2 a week, I think, at most. If that, maybe even just 1 or 2 a month. I think I should ask them. I talk about it all the time. But if we don't have your email, you're not getting them. So scan that QR code and it will bring you to a form where you can fill out your information and you will start receiving those valuable information. All right, time for questions. And if you do have a question on Zoom, just please use that Q&A button at the top of the bottom of your screen. If you're on YouTube, feel free to use the live chat. Looks like we're kind of quiet tonight. Can't say I blame you, but J. Lee Lobo saying hello, checking in, saying hi. Thank you very much for joining. And then Hi M. Lee, like I said, had that good tip on make sure those rear radar sensors are facing the right direction or you're going to have some trouble. All right, and then looks like we don't have anything on Zoom either. So with that, thank you. Thank you very much for spending a little bit of time with me. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and how they do things in the ADAS world. Hopefully you'll join me next week for vehicle maintenance functions. With that, enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. Have a nice night, and take care.